Welcome back to Guess What Day It Is. Today is Marantz Day. So, today we're taking a look at this great Marantz 2220B, as in boy. So, there was a 2220, and from what I understand, there was a 2220C, which I'm not really familiar with. I don't know if that's a real thing or if that's just something that some folks have picked up. But great stereo. So this is part of the golden age of the 70s. This particular version came out in 1974, retailed for $299.95, which would be about $1,933 in today's money. So this being a rather entry-level stereo from Marantz still was quite pricey, but there's quite a bit of build quality there too. So some of the specs on this, the beauty of the Marantz labeling is that it is all kind of around the wattage. So this is a 20 watt receiver. 2240 would be a 40 watt receiver. The 2270 would be a 70 watt receiver. Pretty easy. I wish some of these other manufacturers would do the same thing. The 2220 was a bit of a different configuration. It did not have the balancer slider, and the silver kind of encapsulated the buttons as well. So it still had the gyro tuner, but it was much different visibly from the outside. It was much different internally too. If you had the cabinets on both, they may share some components, but the overall layout is completely different. I think even the inputs were different, how they were connected as well. So it's very interesting because both were pretty much back to back. So many people regard the 2220 as being a better overall build quality. I don't know if that's necessarily the truth. These things are just awesome in general. So what do we, the difference is probably minuscule at best. So let's take a look at this thing. It is dirty, but in overall fantastic condition. We're not missing any knobs. The balance control seems to be where it needs to. There's nothing broken on that. I think sometimes there's issues with that balance slider being broken off, which can be a problem. This does not have the wooden case, but that's okay. That can be found. A lot of people are making some with different colors and all that. So, but man, just overall, just a good looking receiver. No real blemishes or anything. There's some stuff up here on the top, which appears to be candle wax. Seems to be coming off. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. Looking at the overall controls, we've got, starting with the balance control. That's kind of a hallmark of this generation of Marantz. We've got some Dolby controls, one tape input monitor. There's two tape inputs, a phono auxiliary. Of course, we have AM and FM, high cut filter. We've got bass, mid, and treble, which is nice. Most just have a bass and treble. I think even my Pioneer 727 just has bass and treble. So we do have loudness control, FM muting, and we have speaker control. this does have the capability of running 2 different speakers as well. And of course we have the beauty of the 70s with the blackface and the backlit panels and all that kind of stuff. Now this only has a single AM/FM signal meter on it, which is also kind of a hallmark of the lower end of the Marantz receivers. Let's flip it around and look at the inputs on the back. So I'm going to do this without knocking it off. I need to get one of those rotisseries that some of the guys have that work on these things. That'll make it a lot easier. Awkward filming. So here we go. Now, once again, even on the 2220 non-B had a much different layout on the back as well. So there's no in and outs, preamp in and out on this, which really is not too big of a deal. If you want to run a graphic equalizer or something like that, that definitely helps with that. But just a good looking receiver. This is from my dad's collection, so we're gonna check it out and see what we got. Let's flip it around and plug it in. Okay. So anytime that we power up a piece of equipment that we're not familiar with, we always need to be careful. I've got us set up with the dim bulb setup that we've seen in some other videos. Once again, there are lots of different videos out there on dim bulb testers. And if you want to learn more about that, you can also go back to the video that I did on the Pioneer SX680 that I got saved from the junkyard. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that it's powered off to start with. My dim bulb tester has a on-off switch to help just in case something happens. So we'll watch the bulb. Well, looks like no issues. It didn't even look like it really flashed light. But the receiver is powered on. Looky there. So I did hear the safety relay click. So let's see let's make sure we're not too loud or anything like that. I do have this plugged into my sacrificial speakers. Looks like got one of the speakers up here. Let's bring it back down here. Got one channel. Got the other channel. It's pretty good. Let's see. We are getting the stereo light as we tune. The meter's working well. That is pretty cool. Gyro tuning is pretty easy to flip through. So I'm going to flip to auxiliary. I've got a little Bluetooth adapter hooked up. See if we can play something that's not going to get me a copyright strike. I play my intro and outro videos are from a band called Good Kid. They are gracious enough to let creators use their music without having to give them credit or pay or anything like that. So it's pretty good stuff too. I highly recommend you check it out. But let's see. Please charging. That's funny. All right.
But you won't ever let it go. When you had the answer, when you were there alone, you left the door unopened when you knew that you would want more. Give it away like you were barely aware you learned that day. Please charging. You knew that there was still a way. This is your only plan. Oh, now this is your only. Now this is your only plan. Oh, now this is yours. And you're right. You force it to yield. You forge it to the lines. You let your callous be your shield, and everyone will say that it all was finished. Please charging. And you won't ever let it go. When you had the answer, and you were there alone, you left the door.
Well, there we go. I think got a good unit here. That is pretty awesome. Sounds pretty good. I apologize for the please charging message. That little Bluetooth adapter I have is low on battery, as you can see. Even the lights work in this thing. Man, that is absolutely crazy. What a good little unit. All right. Well, I'm going to pop the cover off. We're going to take a look at the inside. Okay, let's pull the cover off. Using my snap-on ratcheting screwdriver. If you'd like to know more about that and some of my other favorite tools, check out my last video where we talked about some of my favorite tools. So, pretty good stuff. So, I like Marantz in their labels. There's a little sticker on the side that says wood grain vinyl veneer. See markings on bottom. I don't know if you can see that. See markings on bottom. Very nice. All right. Well, there's a lot of open space in this particular cabinet, which is good for serviceability. All right. So just want to let you know before I took any of this apart, the power is off, so we don't have to worry about that. So it is dirty. Trying to see if we have any capacitors or anything that might be giving us any issues or anything. Obviously, didn't spend a whole lot of time with it running or anything like that to see if there's any problems or anything. Just kind of looking at the different capacitors. That's, a lot of the issues that are that creep up over time is just the electrolytic capacitors end up leaking or just degrading over time. So generally I like to look to see if there's any that are bulging or anything along those lines. It does not look like there is anything as we go. Everything looks like it's pretty decent. Definitely needs a good cleaning. But so far, looks like everything is somewhat. See if I can bring you in a little closer and see if we can get a better idea of what we got going on here. Everything looks really, really nice on this machine. I don't see anything of any concern at this point. Obviously, a lot of electrical things don't necessarily show up unless heat is brought into the picture. But man, I tell you what, kind of a video that's a little boring. I'm not really finding anything like wrong or anything that we really have to be concerned about. So, that's a good thing. Just kind of looking over everything to see if there's any other things of note. This is the first time I've had a Marantz apart. From a serviceability aspect, it looks like it's easy to get each individual board probably out of the chassis. I'm not sure how they're connected. I'm not going to pull the bottom plate off at this point, but it's our power supply board. The one thing that I am a little concerned about if we do any capacitor replacement is these caps are glued down. Some are, some aren't. Doesn't look like that one is glued down. Some of the smaller ones may not be as well. They're sitting off the board, but there is all kinds of glue around some of these. That's going to be probably one of the biggest challenges. Soldering and resoldering, or desoldering and resoldering is fairly easy and cut and dry. The hardest part is to get some of these components off if they're glued. You definitely don't want to damage any printed circuits or any traces or anything like that. And our goal anytime we do any of these repairs or upgrades, we want to make sure that it looks as close to factory fresh as possible. So if we got a bunch of scratches on the PCB or something because you're scraping and trying to get stuff off, that definitely is not a good thing. So, man, I don't even think I'm going to do any LED upgrades to this. I mean, the bulbs are working fine. What do you think? What should I do with this? Put it down in the comments. Tell me what your thoughts are. Should we leave it as it is? This is not going to stay with me. This is going to be something that I'm going to resell. I am very happy with my Pioneer SX 727. That's going to be my go-to. We may take the time and put them A and B next to each other. The one thing, this has a bit of a handicap. It's about half the power of that, the Pioneer. But it would be nice to hear this with my in my normal listening area, not just down here in the garage. So, but yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do here. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Guess What Day It Is. What a great little receiver. I was expecting something like a dirty pot or something scratchy, something a little off. But man, this thing just was rocking right out of the box. So didn't expect that, but very thankful for it, especially for sitting around in a basement for 10 plus years. So now the question becomes, what do we do with this now? We've talked about value and how much effort to put in to do a full restoration or just a repair or just a service. The value really kind of dictates what that is. We wouldn't necessarily put a 1973 Gremlin on a rotisserie for a $40,000 or $50,000 full restoration. But we might do that with a AMC Pacer, or maybe not a Pacer. Let's say a GTO Judge. So I think the value would allow us to do that, but it works so great as it is. I mean, it's factory fresh. It's all stock. It's a survivor. So tell me what you think. Should we go through this and do a full restoration on it? Or should we just let it go as it is? So let me know in the comments. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content. And stay tuned for some more good episodes here on Guess What Day It Is.